This video is sponsored by Skillshare and Enya Music. So, is this you? You have finally gotten it together and you're ready to practice. You're inspired, you're motivated. Nothing's going to stand in your way this time. You found the perfect piece, music course, or etude book to practice. Your environment is set up for success. Your uke is out of its case and visible. Your nails are clipped, and you sit down to practice, and this happens. And this is a common thing that I see with a lot of people that come to me with face-to-face lessons or with online lessons. It's because they feel like they're stuck, and it's because they're practicing the wrong thing. We're starting from the very beginning of a piece. We keep going, and then we hit that trouble spot, and then, we get frustrated. And then we keep playing, and then we hit that trouble spot again. And so then what we do is we go back to the beginning. Do you see what I'm saying? Most of the time, that one little part that's tripping us up, that's what's keeping us from improving. So here I'm going to show you 4 practical steps on how to actually tackle a problem that you're having, how to smooth it out, how to make it better, and then I'm going to give you a practical exercise or an example to show you how I do this with my students. So let's get started. Number 1, identify the problem. I would say that most of the time when students bring pieces to me, that they're able to tackle most of it. I think the thing you really need to do first is just sit down and identify what is difficult, okay? And then don't look at anything else. In the piece, in the etude, just isolate it. Identify the problem, and then we'll go to step 2. Now, number 2 is easy to remember because I always have my students break it down into 2 manageable parts. Step 2, break it down to 2. And what I mean by that is that you only practice a transition between 2 notes at a time, or 2 chords at a time. For an example, I'm going to use the C scale. What I have my students do is they practice 2 notes at a time and then expand from there, but only adding 1 more. So for example, I have the first 2 notes, and once they feel comfortable, and they feel like they are no longer struggling or have to think really hard about it, I have them add the next note. And then, you guessed it, we add the next one. And then eventually, the whole thing. So what happens is that we have a tendency to look at something, think that we need to be able to play it in its entirety right away. But if you break it down into something small and then expand, usually starting with just 2 and then working on more, it really helps the students just to be able to think, okay, I don't have to do it all. 3, make the thing that you're struggling with, whether it's a riff or a chord transition, into your own warm-up. So just like I had previously demonstrated in tip number 2 with the C scale, I made it into a warm-up where I have 2 notes at a time, then 3. Once I feel comfortable with the previous transition, it just makes it into something that is more practical and less overwhelming. Which brings me to number 4, which is you eventually add that technique, that chord transition into the piece that you're playing. So before we get into the practical exercise on how to use this technique, I'd like to thank our sponsor for this video, Skillshare, which is all about learning and growing and trying new things. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. From photography and music to graphic design and productivity, you can find classes that will match your goals and interests. New premium classes are launched every week, so there's always something new to discover. Some benefits includes, but not limited to, is that it is ad-free, so you can stay in your zone while you're exploring new skills, and the entire catalog is now available in subtitles in Spanish, French, Portuguese, and German. Since joining Skillshare, I've upped my editing game by taking a course called Masking Transitions in Final Cut Pro that make your videography stand out by Kramer Ammons. I even used what I learned to edit this clip right here of my ukulele. The first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. That link is in the description box below as well as a pinned comment. So I've really enjoyed the different courses, just being able to experiment, get out of my comfort zone, and it's a very safe environment, very user-friendly. So go check that out. many people that are learning online, they are learning songs that they would like to sing. They're learning their favorite songs. And sometimes you encounter songs where they have different chord changes or just unfamiliar chord changes you're trying to expand. So for example, if I have a chord change from C to E minor, and there's only 2 counts for each chord, that's not a lot of time to transition, especially if you've never done that transition. So what I suggest my students do is that they isolate what are they having trouble with, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, only practice those 2 chord changes back and forth, over and over again. But here's a tip that I have, number 3 that I have within tips, is that I have them elongate the chord transition. So there's only 2 counts for each chord. That's not a lot of time to be able to transition from one to the next. So instead of 2 counts for each chord, we are going to play 8 counts for each chord. I'm going to keep it very simple, no added strumming patterns. I'm just going to strum each chord for 8 counts. And then as I'm strumming, I think about the transition to the next chord, so that it gives you more time to think about the transition. Once you feel comfortable, pare it down to 4 counts for each chord, or whatever you would like, but then just make the transition faster. So we have isolated the problem. We have broken it down into 2 practical steps, and we're transitioning between one chord and the next. 3, we've made it into a warm-up that was with the elongating everything. And now we break it down and we practice the chord transition within the context. Or it means that you add the suggested strumming pattern. Or from there, you can even expand even more and add that into whatever part of the piece that you're playing. That if you identify the problem, you break it down into 2 practical steps at a time, you expand from there, make it into a warm-up, and then you add it within the context of the piece. I usually see big improvements in my students playing when they do those 4 steps. But let me know if there's anything else that you would like to learn, because usually when one person is struggling with something, it means that there are many people that are struggling with that. You are not the only one. It is not just you, because I struggle with these things too at times. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye. Following FTC guidelines, this ukulele was sent to me in PR by Enya Music, and I am an Enya endorsed artist. So if you are interested in this ukulele, I am going to leave in the description box below a link to this. It is an affiliate link, and that also means that a small portion of that sale does go back to me and supporting my channel. So thank you so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.